All but one of these 8 participants from the Middle East had come from gender segregated schools in Oman and Kuwait. And even the one who was in a mixed school didn't mix with the boys. All of them had studied English in school, but only a couple of them had taken any academic subjects in English. So this was a big transition because a lot of the scientific words were much different. And sometimes the teachers were speaking so fast and scribbling on the board. And if they couldn't understand which of the concepts they already knew the teacher was talking about, then they might not be able to follow along. And I think this is a really big lesson for teachers who think maybe they're using examples that are common in Ireland and the Irish students understand what's happening, but someone else from outside may go through an entire lesson without realizing they actually know the basics of the concept. They're just struggling to figure out the word. Sometimes they'll get home and study their notes and say, oh, I actually know this. We heard a minute ago from Dr. Rosamwadi that the system there encourages people to go into other subjects. In this case, the government really encourages women to go into engineering and provides the funds for them to do that. So for them, there's not the mindset that engineering is for the guys, the way that Dr. Rosamwadi was talking about. They actually said the situation here in Ireland is strange for them because they were expecting far more women studying engineering. And they said that it's really common where they come from, that it's not unusual. And but like Dr. Rosamwadi said, the parents are encouraging medicine and engineering. Several of them came here to study medicine, didn't get the scores in the foundation program, and decided to go into engineering instead. So, but the parents' roles were huge. They have a very strong relationship with their parents, particularly their mothers, but also their fathers. One father came and lived with his daughter for the entire first year, cooking and cleaning so that she could spend her time studying to get ready for the exams. I'll work on the link in a minute. I see in the chat that's a problem. They perceived that engineering was a good career for women and that engineering jobs in their country would be plentiful. And it was really important to them to be able to have job opportunities. They wanted a career. The 8 women I talked to wanted a career that was solid, that they could count on employment. They really wanted to be able to learn to work in English, which they saw as being necessary for the global marketplace, and to be able to communicate with people from many different backgrounds and to work seamlessly with men. Most of them anticipated balancing work, marriage, and motherhood in the future, and they planned to live with their parents until marrying. They were talking about being able to buy houses and have their family retire with them, but a couple of them. But one thing that I noticed was strange to me is that they didn't know exactly how that would work when I asked them. So in the last year, I asked them a question that wasn't about their raw experience, but what they thought might happen. And they envision balancing all of this, but they don't have a clear picture of how that happens. And they think it's way far off in the future when they're 27, but they're just 24 when I'm talking with them now. So the perception of time is a bit different. I couldn't get any solid models of how this would really work. And maybe it's because it's so obvious to them of how you balance all this, but it's not yet obvious to me how you do that, as if you're trying to be a mom and an engineer and a scholar and give to the community, and it's very hard. So they fortunately described the situation here, and you're gonna have to flag me when I'm getting close to the time. They described their first year tutors as extremely helpful and supportive, and people they visited frequently with questions. Okay, great, thanks. Which was really great. They didn't see any religious or gender bias from their teachers. They actually came to Ireland because they'd heard from their family members that it was a supportive place and a good place for people from the Middle East. And they hadn't they said they hadn't experienced much discrimination. They said they hadn't experienced it, but then they usually had 1 or 2 stories of something stressful that had happened. But they said that that would happen anywhere, and they didn't think that was unusual. All in all, we learned a lot about how to make teams and how they will have trouble to reach out and say, I want to work with you, Irish people. Please be on my team. They hope that the teachers will help make teams where they get a chance to work together with really diverse people.